everyone. Welcome to Raids for Research. This is our closing stream today. I am Jackie Monstream. I'm a community fundraising manager here on the philanthropy team at Fred Hutch, and I also lead the Stream for Fred Hutch program. I am so excited. We've had such an amazing Raids for Research week. I can't believe it's the last day. Truly, every day was so amazing. We had so many great memories, so many great clips, so many great donations. So it was such a great week. And I'm going to get a little bit into, how the week went. But first, for any new folks or anyone tuning in for the first time, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Fred Hutch. So if you were on the first stream, you might have heard some of this stuff already, but it's always a good refresher. So Fred Hutch Cancer Center, we're a comprehensive cancer center based in Seattle, which means that we treat and care for patients, but we also conduct life-saving research here to help us detect, prevent, and diagnose cancer. We also work on infectious diseases and study infectious diseases. We have the HIV vaccine trials network here at the Hutch. We also started the COVID-19 prevention network. So we look a lot in how viruses are connected to cancer as well. And something that I didn't mention on the first stream is that we were founded in 1975, and we were actually founded in memory of Fred Hutchinson, who was a Rainier's not Mariners player, sorry, a Rainier's baseball player. And so he passed away from cancer, unfortunately, at a young age, and his brother, Dr. Bill Hutchinson, established the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in his memory. So now we're the Fred Hutch Cancer Center today. We're really excited because we've been around for almost 50 years. Our 50th anniversary is next year, which is exciting. So we have a lot of history and a lot more to come as well. So I want to talk about raids because this week was freaking awesome. Today is the official final day. I'll be announcing our final fundraising totals tomorrow, but as of now, we've raised just under $18,000, which is awesome. Yeah, so that's over what we raised last year already, and we still have multiple streams going on after this. We're going to raid into science after this, so a lot of really exciting things to come. So thank you all who participated, all the creators. I think we had like 18. We had someone drop out due to sickness, but we had 18, which is so awesome. And we had so many donations, large and small, that got us to that total. So thank you all for taking the time and for fundraising this week. It means so much to me and our team and the community at Fred Hutch that, you spent all this time, some of you streaming every day. Like, that's crazy. So thank you all for, just dedicating this week to Fred Hutch. We couldn't be more grateful. I actually wanted to read, I got this idea like last night, and I wanted to read some of the comments that came with the Tiltify donation. So when you make a donation through Tiltify, you have the option to leave a comment. Sometimes people leave like funny comments or ones that are related to the game the person is playing. But I wanted to read a couple of them that came through. So this is from Death Squeak on Cedar Pita's stream. And they said, for my grandma who got cancer through Fred Hutch, we miss you. We got one from Poison Heart. Here's to everyone that has had or has breast cancer. You are all warriors. We will find a cure in the future. This one is from Chaos from Catchild's stream, who was streaming in memory of her brother. In his memory, I'm absolutely certain he's proud of you, the space you've created, and the love you've poured back into the world. And then finally, from Lance and Gin's stream, Hybrid commented, and this is more of a funny one, as much as I want Lance to suffer, I want cancer to suffer more. So thank you all who left comments. Lance is in the room today, so you'll get to hear from him, half of Lance and Gin, a little bit later. So thank you all who you know, all who added those comments. I do read them, and they do really mean a lot for those who share why they decide to give to Fred Hutch and why they're supporting their favorite creators. So just wanted to thank everyone again. We are going to move into some of the stream highlights. I couldn't highlight everyone. We just didn't have the time, but I chose a couple funny ones, a couple of heartfelt ones, and we'll get into that now. You'll hear my voiceover, and then right after that, you'll hear from some of the creators who participated. So we're going to get into it.
I'm not allowed to say anything until...
Awesome. So first up, we have Ravnica, and aka Rav. Rav streamed quite a bit this week, and this was a really funny clip because we were playing Gartic, which is like a Pictionary game on stream, and we were playing blind Gartic. So when she hits a certain incentive, she will play blind Gartic. And actually, it was really nice because one of the community members who donated saw that I was in the chat, and so they played it for me, which is really nice. That wasn't even the incentive they chose, but this was a really funny one because of she meant to write Google goggles, and she wrote Googles, and we could not stop laughing. It was hilarious. She did all science Fred Hutch themed Pictionary, so it was really fun. We were all dying at the end just because it was hilarious. Okay, and next up, we have Lunchbox. Lunchbox streamed every single day this week, which is amazing. And he went to a local soda shop and got some gross soda flavors. And so for certain incentives, he would take shots of gross soda. So you can see this. I love his reaction here. Oh. It tasted really good, huh? Oh my gosh. I know, kind of like Bean Boozled, but worse, I think. So that was awesome.
We've made a mistake.
All right, okay, we're gonna move on to Booby Trap next. So because she hit and exceeded her fundraising goal, she ended up dressing up like a pirate and then had a big confetti pop moment. So that was hilarious. And we think she might have hurt her ears during that because it was so loud.
Yo.
Oh, there it goes. Yep. So that was really fun. She actually hit and exceeded her goal. So that was the big celebration, which was awesome. All right. Up next, we have the wonderful Poison Heart, who you'll see in this clip. She is really hard to scare, apparently. And her husband Cliff scared her during her stream while she was playing Supermarket Simulator. Whoa. Yep, that was the moment.
Across the way. Okay.
So yeah, it was really fun. She did so many streams this week. Crowd Control was one of the big ones, and she was able to bring in a lot of donations through Crowd Control, which was awesome to see. All right, and then we have Lance and Gin. So Lance decided that he was gonna eat, well, this was one of the incentives, eat Bean Boozled. And I think it was every $100, every $10 you would eat a bean, but they got two $100 donations at the beginning of the stream. So he ate 20 beans, and these are kind of like, you know, Bean Boozled are like the Harry Potter beans too. You know, they have the gross flavors. I don't know. There's like a barf flavor. And there's like a 90% chance you're gonna get a bad one. So yeah, his reaction is pretty funny here. Oh, so fun. Oop, it's all for charity though, right? It's all for a good cause. Awesome. And then we have the lovely Violicious, and she's sharing in this clip a little bit more about why she streams for Fred Hutch, so I'll let you just listen to this one.
The reason why I kicked this off with Fred Hutch is that just a couple of months ago, might not even be 2 months ago yet, my aunt passed away from pancreatic cancer, and so it's just been, you know, one of those years. So lots of really beautiful people, really beautiful memories, and really, really hard illnesses. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
So on that note, we are raising money for Fred Hutch. We're trying to hit some goals. We've
Some
unlocked
fun
community games, so
incentives. All right, I think we can go to the last
come on by
one.
tomorrow. We're going to be playing.
And then this was a really awesome moment when Vi received a $100 donation on her stream. So just really cool to see that, donation pop up and really,
Shy, oh
continue
my
to
gosh,
support Fred Hutch.
$100. Thank you.
Great.
Wow.
Okay, well, I hope that you enjoyed all of the highlights. Now we're going to pass it over to Guppy and Alchemist Joker.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Nice to meet you. So, my name is Guppy. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I serve as the effectively science content liaison for Fred Hutch. And it's my pleasure to welcome Alchemist Joker to the chat today.
Hello, everyone. I am Alchemist Joker. Woo! Let's go. Wait, I can't cheer for myself. I am Alchemist Joker. I am your friendly neighborhood monster slayer. My pronouns are also he, him, his. And this is now my second year with Fred Hutch? Third year. This is my third year doing fundraising for Fred Hutch.
We want to do it enough so that you don't remember the number at a certain point.
I am down for that. That sounds wonderful.
Deal.
So one of the things that I know we didn't get a chance to talk about is that you guys brought everyone here to do a tour of the lab, and it really got to showcase why we do some of this fundraising, because we got to see like some of the donations we go to can go to things like gloves and pipettes and things like that, and it really puts a very fine point on what you're doing fundraising for. Like, it's so important supporting a local charity because you get to actually see the good work that the charity does. So I love it.
Well, we'll hopefully have another tour sometime soon. Keep a watch in your inbox. Jackie might send out an invite. Ooh. And I promise to do something different this time.
But strawberry DNA.
Well, strawberries are delicious, but there's more science than just strawberry DNA.
Yes, but I need to collect enough strawberry DNA to make a strawberry corgi and then world domination after gene splicing.
I understand that, but I think I can actually teach you how to do that at home.
It's not a war crime the first time, right? If I make strawberry corgis, I won't get in trouble for that, right?
Well, technically there are rules.
Well, I don't like, okay, fine. No strawberry corgis. This time, chat. This time. Next time we do strawberry corgis.
Well, I mean, moving from the strawberry corgis, I mean, that is a highlight, right? Like, this is a highlight for a lot of people. What were some of your other highlights from streaming this year?
So one of the things that was actually a really big highlight is every other time I've done this, I've always streamed alone, right? I've always done the Fred Hutch streams by myself. I've played single player games because they allow for things like crowd control where you can kind of let the audience kind of lean into it. My audience occasionally has moments where they really want to see me suffer. And some of the people that want to see me suffer were people that I normally game with. So I figured this year, since I'm going to be doing fundraising and I was going to be playing a specific game, maybe I should have them join me on stream. Now, all of the donations I got this year were anonymous, and I think it's because they were people that I was playing with who didn't want to know that they were throwing the run. But I did 2 streams, and at the end of my second stream, I had the incentive set up so that one of the $50 incentives was that I had to do a knife-only run in this particular game, which means no equipment, no firearms, it's just me and a knife. Well, I didn't pay attention in Tiltify that there is a little setting you can set that sets the number of times that thing can be purchased max, and I forgot to turn that on. So someone bought 4 of them. And their comment was, does this mean that the whole squad has to do a a knife-only run? And in my mind, I read the donation out loud, and my brain goes, there's no way that they're going to agree to that. And no sooner than I said the words out loud, everyone in my squad in unison went, I'm game for that. We can do that. So we went into this very stressful, very high-pressure extraction shooter armed with just knives. And I will tell you, it was probably the most chaotic, fun moment of the stream. We ended the stream that way and kind of raided into the next group. It was so much fun. That was probably one of my biggest highlights.
That sounds pretty awesome. And it sounds great because your co-streamers were also part of it and wanted to be part of it. And that's what I've loved about this community. People are willing to do whatever for friends, for family members, for family members found in community.
Well, the other thing that was cool about that is after we were done, my roommate, Shredstick, I will say his streaming name, not his actual name, was like, so we were raising money for Fred Hutch, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you know, if I was raising money for Fred Hutch too, we could have just raided into each other in the same house. And I'm like, well, then I guess that means you'll have to raid for Fred Hutch next year. And he goes, well, I have to do something horrible for incentives? I'm like, no, your community likes you. So you can do uplifting stuff. I will do the painful stuff. And it's an important cause for him as well because his wife had thyroid cancer, so she had to have that removed. So it's one of those things that, like, it's not just a cause that we're supporting because it's local. It's because it has, in one way or another, touched everyone's lives around us. So I'm always going to want to support a cause that I can that helps me give back to people.
And the takeaway I take from that is signups are already open for next year. Please reach out and add your name to the list. We're always looking for new content creators.
Especially you. Not you. Move over one. You right there. You know you want to sign up next year. Don't. I'm expecting to see your name next year.
And you're right. Like, cancer affects everybody. Everybody has a story that is connected to cancer.
Yes.
And you know what the goal and mission of Fred Hutch is to eradicate cancer and infectious disease for all. And that's what we're going to do. And like you mentioned earlier, you were on campus, you got to see how some of that gets done.
Yes.
And you were particularly interested in a machine, two machines?
So this is where my ADHD is going to betray me. So one of the machines we were talking about, it was extracting samples and it was using light to kind of divide the samples into different...
Lasers.
Sorry, it was using lasers attached to someone's head. Nope, that's a different show. But it was using lasers to kind of sort through samples. And I remember, I want to say it was right before that, I remember watching a video that was talking about how difficult it was to make like blue LEDs. And I remember wondering, I wonder if the advancement of blue LEDs, which of course, you know, the ability to have blue emitting light would lead to blue lasers as well. I wonder how much that played an impact on the advancement of this technology. And I had that moment of realizing how interconnected technology and medicine and medical research are. And it was just one of those things of like, I always pride myself on being able to be conversational in as many topics as I can. And if I don't know a thing, I'm more than happy to listen so I can learn about it. And I think for the entirety of the tour, I was bouncing around like a puppy on Adderall because I was so excited to go, oh, wait, this does this. And then this goes to this. And what can we? And there were several times where Jackie, bless her heart, had to go, I'm so happy you're excited. We have an entire tour to go through. Can we please? I'm happy you're happy. We got other stuff to do.
Well, and so I'll say this, right? Like, that's always been the case. Science advances, we create new technologies, we take maximal advantage of it, and then there's suddenly, you reach the limit, and then you need to create a new technology. And that's what's so exciting about Fred Hutch now, is I think we've got so much technology and so many ways to ask questions. And now with the advent of big data and sort of possibly using elements of AI, the good AI, not the
the Skynet AI.
Not the Skynet.
Yeah.
Skynet is not active yet.
Not yet. We're not.
Yeah. You know, but using all of that to sort of go up exponentially. That's why it's such an exciting time to be at Fred Hutch right now. We are on the cusp of something big, and the machine you're talking about. So, for everybody who's watching out there, if you think about every single cell in your body is moving around doing its own thing, but it has to get information from outside as to the state of what's going on and what's not, and it takes those signals, it internalizes them, and it changes what it's going to do. And so by reading what is on the surface of the cell, we can figure out the state of the cell and what its function is. Is it ready to go destroy a virus? Does it have the ability, but it's just tired and it wants to take a nap? Or has it been actively shut down? And so what this technology does is it attaches these Y-shaped proteins called antibodies with a little light thing at the end of it to each of the surface markers. And it flows through the machine, gets hit by one light, which emits one color, and then you can do that. And so what's been really cool is improvements in the light emitting colors, but also changing the the fluorophores, so the things that emit light that are attached to the antibodies, where if it gets, some of them will get hit by blue light and emit a red light. Some will get hit by a blue light and emit a blue light. And so that changes the number you can do. And by doing that, we've actually discovered new immune cells that we didn't know existed. And that's changing how we think about cancer and other diseases.
It's funny. This is going to sound like a reach, but there are a lot of comparisons between a really well done stream and the kind of research you guys do here. There are things that are given to you very easily. I know this game. I know what I'm doing in this game. It's going to work. But to be a good streamer, you have to be able to freestyle. You have to be able to go, okay, that's not supposed to do that. That's a new one on me. And taking that and kind of rolling with the punches and getting to see that. Like, you feel really clever as a streamer when you have something that goes adverse and you figure out a way to go with it. But I can only begin to understand or comprehend the feeling of like, okay, I'm going to hit this with blue light and I should see blue light. Okay, blue light 1, blue light 2, red light 1, blue light 2. Go back. That was red. That's not, why is that red? And the just having that moment of discovery that we sometimes get in streams, having that be your everyday, I feel like, if I ever decide to retire and want to go back to school for 27 and a half years, I might consider being a researcher.
I'll say this, as a former researcher, rehabbed, took many years of therapy. I will say that one of the big joys of research was there was times that you would know something that nobody else in the world knew. You discovered something that was absolutely brand spanking new, and that was awesome. And so I'll let you finish with closing thoughts, and then we'll call up our next streamer.
I guess my closing thoughts for this is, and this is going to be very specific, if you are a streamer that is watching this and you're not sure of ways that you can help make a difference, it's not just about streaming. You can, if you're not comfortable streaming for a cause, that's fine. Talk to your streamer friends. If you're a fan of a community, and as a fan of a community, you're like, I think my streamer would be great for this, bring it up to them. It's not always about you doing the direct work. Sometimes it's about you taking that knowledge and passing it along to the next person. So that would be my takeaway.
Alchemist, always a pleasure. I'll see you at the next tour.
See you at the next tour. Strawberry corgis.
Well, it is my absolute pleasure to bring up our next speaker, Violicious. Did I get that right?
You did, yes.
Thank you. Do you want to introduce yourself to the streamers?
We had to do a little bit of practice on the name,
Yes, we did.
Violicious, because it's a strange name for people, but it's actually a scientific term.
Oh, tell me more.
I do an intentional misspelling of a word that means of or having to do with the color, the family violet of plants, but it's also the color of a bruise. So
Yeah, okay, that's...
So I like that scientists and
DIL.
researchers also are having struggles pronouncing it, because shows how common it's really used.
Yeah, that's something I learned. This is great. So what was you, I mean, you were on as one of the highlights. Were there other highlights from stream this time around?
There were a lot of kind of ups and downs throughout it, as streaming does, when you have a crowd and people rate in and you have a good time, and then other times where you're just like, why am I struggling in this game? Or why is this not quite clicking? And there were a lot of them. We had a raid on Friday that was a brand new community. I'd never met any of these people, and a bunch of them just joined us for Jackbox. And all of a sudden it was like, all right, I'm getting to know all of you through your answers to making up funny words and stuff like that. Like, hi, brand new people. Like, let's find out how, clean or not clean your minds are while live. Like, yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's really putting yourself out there and being a little bit edgy.
You have to a little bit. There's this balance of you want to keep your stream, within a certain vein, and then you also want to play to the new crowd and accept people into your community. So you're constantly finding that balance, and then really, really trusting your moderators.
Both.
Yeah.
That does absolutely sound like a challenge, but we're really grateful that you were able to do it, and to the new audience who joined you and played along and learned. I think donations are great, but sort of building this community and building this knowledge is also really wonderful. And one of the things I love most about joining Jackie and as part of the Twitch program and meeting new people and hearing new ideas. So is there anything you would ask me about Fred Hutch that you wouldn't get a chance to ask anybody else?
Oh my gosh, about Fred Hutch.
Or about the work that we do. It's up to you.
Well, I would love to go on the next tour. I wasn't able to on the one last year, so I definitely need to make sure that I can get out here for the next one, because that sounds like a lot of fun. How about I ask you about the article I sent over?
Yeah, please.
So for me, being trans, the intersection of science and medicine and gender just really fascinates me. And so I was looking at information and recent discoveries that they'd made, and I found an article out of Sweden that they did a study over the last year, and it was about specifically differences in autoimmune disorders and viruses, and that cis men are more likely to catch viruses, whereas cis women have a much higher percentage of people who are contracting autoimmune disorders. And they studied trans men before, during, and after a year of being on HRT and suppressing estradiol and increasing testosterone, and seeing the difference in how their blood reacted to these various different conditions over time. And I thought that was really fascinating. I wonder, where Fred Hutch is and what kind of stuff are happening around that here.
I'll say that when you sent me that article, that I had independently seen it and was like, note to myself, I should read this. So it was a great opportunity for me to dig in and start reading about that. And I'll take it in a few different directions. And I'll start by saying, we don't know because we don't ask. And we need to do better as a scientific center, as a scientific community, to ask the right questions. And Fred Hutch is on the right track, and I'll come back to that later. But with regards to your question and this article, so it is known that cis women do have more autoimmune diseases, and cis men are more prone to infection. Mm-hmm. Why that is still an open question. And that also intersects with another discovery that some Fred Hutch researchers have made, that there's an organ in our body called the thymus. Do you know what the thymus is?
I've heard the word, but
you would have heard it in Silence of the Lambs. It's also,
yes,
some people also do call it sweetbread. Yeah. So the thymus is actually an organ in our body that trains a class of our immune cells called T cells. Okay. And that's why they get the name T cells, from being trained in the thymus, T. And as you age, your thymus degrades. Mm-hmm. And it's like taking funding out of schools. And so your body then loses the ability to know self from non-self. And that's what sometimes leads to autoimmune diseases as you get older. And so one of our researchers has done studies on the impact of different hormones and the ability of the thymus to regenerate after damage. And you do see that there is an effect of both testosterone and estrogen on the thymus. Mm-hmm. And estrogen has like a much more impactful change on the thymus's ability to regenerate than testosterone. But actually blocking both of them can promote the thymic regeneration as well. So there is work being done, but there's a lot more to be done, because we are not asking the right questions.
Oh, of course. With all of this stuff, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And if you don't even know what question to ask to get started down that road, then
that's where you're
kind of beginning. Yeah.
That's how we've eventually got to the fact of knowing that different diseases, different cancers affect different populations. Mm-hmm. Up to a certain time ago, all studies that looked at population-wide diseases were just white people, mostly white men. Nobody bothered to ask about other populations. It was only when we started asking about South Asian men or South Asian women or East Asian did we start seeing the differential effects of cancer or cardiovascular disease in different populations. We still need to do that for people from different sexual orientations and gender identities. And that work is starting at Fred Hutch. So I'm actually really proud of the fact that there's some of this work. There was a pilot done at Fred Hutch where we were working in some clinics to figure out the right way to ask the questions, who would ask the questions, how do we start collecting that sexual orientation and gender identity data. And now that the pilot is done, it'll be rolled out starting in January at our transplant and immunotherapy clinics before expanding to more of our clinics in South Lake Union, where we're sitting, by like April, May, before going further in 2026. So
that's fantastic.
We're beginning to collect that data, and we can start drawing those lines with different health outcomes, with different cancers.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and it's you know, even groups like our HIV vaccine trials network. So, you know, a little peek behind the curtain for everybody who's not here. We're actually on the same floor as this group called SHARP, which is the group of biostatisticians that analyzes data from the HIV vaccine trials network and did analyze the data from the COVID-19 vaccine trials network. So Fred Hutch has been the coordinating center for both HIV vaccine trials and COVID-19 vaccine trials. And this group gets the data and analyzes. And they recently looked at all the HIV vaccine trial network studies that we've done over the years, and less than 1% of them had included trans men or trans women or non-binary individuals, which is just stunning given how impactful HIV is in that
Right.
population. And it speaks to what you were saying, like, if we don't ask the right questions, how can we get the right answer?
Absolutely, yeah. As I was going through the videos with Fred Hutch, just all of the little kind of short videos that we could include in their streams and everything, there was one in there about Fred Hutch's kind of, what do I want to say, recommitting to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, you know, getting to those kind of questions is coming out of programs like that, when everybody else is abandoning those programs for an organization like Fred Hutch to be saying, no, like, we're not just committed to this with our scientists, with our patients, with the research. You know, that's what we need to get there. So it's great to hear both what I saw there and what you're saying here today.
And you know, it is part of our mission and our values, right? Like, the goal of Fred Hutch is to eradicate cancer, infectious disease for all.
Right.
And that for all means for all. So
Exactly.
that is part of our mission, truly. And that's really grateful to be at a place that does that. So I'll ask you for closing thoughts before we pull on our next streamer.
Oh my gosh, I have to go after Alchemist and what he was saying. No, like, seriously, getting involved, that is the best thing. Whether it's donating, whether it's crowd control, whether it's just running a charity fundraiser in the background of a stream, or whether it's a concentrated effort, being able to bring more people in is a great way to keep funding just the really, really important work that's being done here. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to come out here today. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you at the tour and the stream next year.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So we are going to move swiftly onto our next streamer. And it is my pleasure to welcome Lance of Lance and Geen to the stage. So please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Guppy. I go by Lance Icarus. I am one half of the streaming duo of Lance and Geen, Geen being my wonderful, wonderful wife. We like to stream indie games, and especially, and charity is always at a core of what we do. It's how I started streaming in the first place. And what we got to do during this last charity stream is show off some of the very best Seattle indie games that is around. So it was Seattle, raising money for Seattle. I love this city, and being able to do that was one of the highlights of my streaming career.
Let's go, Lane!
Yeah, yes, Seattle is awesome. It is such a, you know, many of you can't see, but it is the perfect Seattle day outside. It's rare. We're going to run out of them real soon. So as soon as the stream's done, we're all running outside.
As soon as it hits October 1st, it's just rain.
Yeah. In like 12 hours, it's a different time entirely. So, you know, you've been streaming for Fred Hutch for a while, but during this week of raids, what's been your highlight other than the Bean Boozled?
I mean, I don't know if I call that a highlight necessarily.
I mean, it was our highlight.
It was a highlight for everybody watching, for sure. I emptied that entire box thanks to my community. That was an experience I will never forget, whether I want to or not. That is, but for seriously, I think probably one of the best moments was at the very end, almost at the end of my streams, we got a surprise $240 of donations all back to back.
Wow.
All at once. And it took our goal, exceeded our goal. And I got really emotional at that time, because it was just so nice to be able to put together something like that for such an incredible organization like Fred Hutch, and being able to use those different game devs who are always so game. But just a big shout out to the devs I worked with. As soon as I told them I was raising money for the Fred Hutch, they were just like, "How many game keys do you need? What do you need for a giveaway? Tell us what you need." Like, they were so ready to help. But yeah, being able to raise all that money for an organization like this, I've been doing charity streams for about 7+ years now, and I think this one was one that was definitely one of the closest to my heart. I'm very proud of what we did during this Raids for Research.
Thank you. That's awesome. Really appreciate you and Geen and your entire community for coming together, and the game devs for all pitching in. And that's, again, speaks to the power of community and speaks to the power of everybody here and what we've built and everybody in Seattle. So thank you again. Thank you, everybody who's watching and donating. Really appreciate you all. And so you did have the benefit of showing up and also maybe being next to Alchemist bouncing off the walls, but there was parts of the tour that sort of resonated with you. Hopefully not strawberry corgis.
I mean, Alchemist is pointing at me from the back here. He wants those corgis, but no, we were nerding out a bit over the tour, just seeing all the crazy work you guys are doing, being able to do all these different sciences. I know one of the things that jumped out to me on that tour was some of the advances you guys are making in like gene therapy and stuff like that. Preventative medicine is something I've always found super interesting, and being able to now go down to almost like a genetic level to be able to prevent some diseases before they even start, especially like genetic diseases and things like that. Being able to do something about that is just incredible to me. I think that's some of the most interesting fields of science.
Yeah, and it is super cool. And there's two parts to this that we can sort of break down, right? Like, so you're speaking to like genetic disorders and genetic diseases like cystic fibrosis, or people who have a BRCA1 or BRCA mutation that are often increase your risk for a cancer. And we're reaching that point where we're discovering that just that one error is not the only driver. And so we're sitting in the public health sciences building at Fred Hutch, which is where we originated the Women's Health Initiative, which was the first and one of the largest ever studies to look at postmenopausal women and the diseases that affect them. And it's, I think, over 160,000 women over the years, and we're collecting health outcomes, we're collecting blood, we're collecting samples, and we're able to look at the DNA and the alterations. And our public health scientists, researchers are doing this for multiple different diseases. And we're starting to see that it's not just like one or two, it may be like a little bit of A, a little bit of B, a little bit of C. And if you have all these different alterations, they come together, it's almost like a fingerprint. Like certain fingerprints are more likely to increase your risk of cancer or other diseases.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's just the kind of jigsaw puzzle that we all are on the inside.
I mean, that's not even beginning to start touching on all the bacteria and viruses that live on us and in us that we've come to call our 3 trillion closest friends that we will live with forever and ever, right? And there's a balance between those. And, taking the gene therapy part of it, it's the idea of being able to, if you see one alteration, being able to go in and fix it. And that's tricky, but as some of you probably saw in the news recently, the first person to be cured of sickle cell anemia just got cured. And that was actually because of a bone marrow transplant, which was first developed here at Fred Hutch. But basically, they pulled out that person's stem cells, edited the gene that would cause sickle cell anemia, and put it back in. That's still a cumbersome process because you're having to pull it out. The next phase is some of our researchers are developing technologies that you just put it on the body like a foam, and it goes in and it alters the cells within your body without ever having to pull it out. And so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's just science fiction to me,
I mean,
man.
it is. I mean, but everything starts as science fiction before it becomes science fact, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Except for Skynet. Skynet is not coming alive. Strawberry corgis are go, apparently.
no, that's just science fiction stuff. I think that's what's so cool about it. You know, being able to pull cells out and then put in healthy ones to be able to remedy some of this stuff. It's just so cool.
Yeah, and it'll change our ability to even treat cancer. And because Fred Hutch is also known for a type of treatment called T-cell therapy, where we reprogram your disease-fighting T-cells that I was mentioning in my conversation with Vi, that we can reprogram them to see cancers. Well, imagine if we could do that in a person's body and then sort of have it attack the cancer without ever pulling the cells out. And think about the access that it could give people.
That's crazy. It's hard to talk because you're blowing my mind. All the
I
kind of
think that that's
possibilities.
a good time for us to like take this conversation offline and welcome Jackie back on the stage. And so to the Twitch community, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. And I'll let Jackie take it away from here after a short video.
Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center and University of Washington bring together the largest group of prostate cancer researchers in the world, all united to try to diagnose this disease earlier and cure it.
One of the things that's becoming abundantly clear is that prostate cancer is not just one disease. If you dissect a tumor, one cell sitting next to a second cell might be very different in terms of the proteins on the cell surface, the molecular changes, the DNA of the cancer that makes it tick. And so trying to sort of fold all of that information into new treatment strategies is the challenge that we're faced with today.
So we in the prostate program have a three-pronged approach. One is to improve the diagnosis with earlier tests, to tailor treatments with a precise methods with genomics, and then also to improve risk assessment and maybe even prevent prostate cancer.
And it's been extraordinarily exciting to see the changes that have happened over the years that I've been doing this. The field has advanced quite a bit.
Yeah, good.
Our team of researchers at the Fred Hutch Cancer Center are taking a team science approach. All these disciplines coming together to really speed up the pace of discovery, speed up the pace of new research, and hopefully speed up the pace of better care of our cancer patients. So we're improving diagnostics on a few different levels. One is blood tests and non-invasive tests, but we're also looking at diagnostics such as imaging.
Developing therapies that are low side effect profile but have the potential to suppress all the key resistance mechanisms, all the biology that drives that cancer cell is something that we're very optimistic about, and that's stuff we're working on every day.
So if we can understand or identify the risk of prostate cancer, then we can screen more attentively, we can get them on clinical trials, we can engage them, we can give them a reason to get tested.
Donor support is more important than ever right now because it does allow us to have greater research endeavors than we would have previously.
These are the types of funds that we use to really move forward high risk, high reward studies that are going to help us to understand where the field's going.
We hope 5 years from now we'll be able to diagnose patients earlier, and then not only that, when we treat them something precise just to them to cure their cancer. And with your help, we'll conquer this.
I'm back, everyone. Gosh, aren't we just so lucky to have Guppy on our team? He is just the best. Thank you, Guppy. And also want to give out a shout out to Helen Anderson, who was on the first stream. Thank you, Helen. She's the best. And then I do want to give a shout out to Hurley Media Group, who helped us produce this stream. We couldn't do this without, Brian and Brandon. Thank you so much. So yeah, they're in the room with us, but really, really grateful for them to help us put this on. Thank you to Alchemist Joker, Violicious, and Lance. Thank you so much for being here today. you all had, brought such different ideas and topics, and allowed us all to connect to the science being done at Fred Hutch even more. So thank you so much. We now get to do a giveaway, which is fun. So this event is sponsored by Zotac USA. They're a gaming and PC company, and they've graciously donated 2 PCs. I'm actually going to read out. Oh, wait, I don't know where my paper went. I'm not going to read out. It's a very long. Okay, I think they're going to bring it to me. Thank you all. I got too excited. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so it's a Zotac MEK Hero G1. I don't know if this means anything to anyone, but A5636. This features the GeForce RTX 30 series graphics and AMD Ryzen processing. I think that means it's just like a really good PC. So if you raised at least $300, you qualified to be in the giveaway, and we're going to give away 2 of these PCs, which is awesome. Guppy is going to help me, so we're going to draw the names here. All right. So, and I think 10 people qualified. So, all righty. Okay. Okay, drum roll. All right. The first winner is Lunchbox. Woo! Awesome. Okay, winner number 1. Congrats, Lunchbox. Okay, I'm going number 2. Close my eyes. Okay. Oh gosh. Winner number 2 is Fairly Asian. Woo! Awesome job. Oh my goodness. Fairly Asian was featured on our first stream, so that's full circle. And she just hit $300 too, so that's awesome. Great. That's really exciting. Thank you all who, participated in that. And thank you, Zotac, again, for giving those PCs away. The stream is about to end, but if you would like to, get involved or stay involved with Fred Hutch, you can join our Discord, which is linked on our Twitch channel. You can also follow us on all of our socials at Fred Hutch. Feel free to reach out to me directly. I think, Kirsten, you can post my email in the chat as well, but would love to talk to any newer perspective content creators as well. This event is not over yet. There's still a few streams tonight, and we'll be raiding into science stream in just a little bit here. Well, like 2 minutes here, so pretty quickly. And that will feature Helen Anderson, who you heard from on the 23rd. And then that will also feature Anderson Frank, who is a PhD, who has a PhD and works in the Big Ends lab here at Fred Hutch. So we'll be raiding into that. So stay a while, check it out, listen to some science chat. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. Thank you to all the creators who participated. We couldn't do this without you. And keep on raiding and raising money for research. Thank you so much.